Hello, students. So to continue, let's talk about these. All right. So why is a corgi an example of selective breeding? Okay. So if you want an animal with long hair, you're going to make sure those parents have long hair. If you're going to have, if you want a parent, if you want a kid that looks small, you're going to have parents that are small, especially with dogs. So a corgi is actually a combination of two other types of dogs. Now, um, and they both have traits of the individual of the corgi that we see. So, next question. In the picture, how many total people were studied? How many males showing the trait were there? So, how many? Let's do it one at a time. So, how many total people were studied? So, as we see, there are squares and circles. Each square in each circle represents a person. So starting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So 13 total people. Now, how many males showing the trait were there? So we look at the key here. See, males showing the trait are black squares. So 1, 2, 3. Females showing the trait, 1. How many males not showing the trait were there? So looking at the key, male not showing the trait is this empty square. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Which layer has the youngest fossils? Which has the oldest? Explain why you chose what you did. So at the top, we have a fossil, right? A fossil is any part of an animal that um, has their remains, basically. So we see there's a fossil in layer A. So the fossil in layer A is the youngest. It's the youngest because it's on top, right? So imagine this, right? You are you are living 100 years ago, right? Now, 100 years ago there weren't bricks. So, well, 1,000 years ago. 1,000 years ago there weren't bricks. So 1,000 years ago these little things lived, and then somebody built a brick house, and then there was a fish, right? But then there was a volcano, and in the volcano was some sort of animal. And then, um, let's see, there was another volcano, and then this animal died in it. So the layer with the youngest fossil, so the youngest fossil is said to be most recent. So the layer with the youngest fossil is A. The oldest fossil is D. So why you chose that? Because this is on top. That means it's the youngest. D's on the bottom. It's the oldest. Why is white fur on a polar bear an example of an adaptation to help an organism survive? So, if you have white fur and you live in the Arctic, it's much easier. It's much easier to live, right? Much easier to live. So, if you are in the Arctic or where there's a lot of snow, it's going to help you hide. So, um, if you have white snow and white fur, it's going to help you hide. So that's an adaptation you can use to survive. So, what advantage would a fox with thick fur have over a fox um, that wasn't? Right. So obviously, with thick fur, it's going to keep you warmer. So uh, if you have thick fur, it's going to be better for an animal that's in cold weather. Originally, most peppered moths were light colored and blended in with the light colored bark of the trees in their environment. Due to pollution during the Industrial Revolution, the trees became blackened by soot. As a result, the population of light-colored moths decreased due to predators. At the same time, the population of dark-colored moths increased because they were less visible to predators is an example of natural selection. From this description, explain what natural selection is. So, natural selection. Natural selection. So, what is natural selection? So, looking at our question. So, most peppered moths were light colored and blended in with the light colored bark of the trees. So, here's the story. You start at the start of the day. Start of the day, you have a moth that is light colored, but because and they can this means the moths need to hide in order to live. This means the moths need to hide in order to live so they don't get eaten. But when the trees change color, those light colored moths were getting eaten faster or more often. So, um, so this is something you got to use Google for. Part of the plant gets water is the roots, and then we're gonna do these last two together as a group.